Jessica Robinson is about to start this game with her Rika strategy, and that is always such a big advantage, especially against a deck like Kashtira that can really give you a hard time with this Arise Heart. However, Christian has built kind of a special Kashtira deck.
Totally. That was usually not the approach anymore lately, because we've seen a lot of field-breaking cards being in there. But there's a most loved normal monster of the game right now. Normal Summon Genius, Lokai.
Yeah, the best play that the Rika deck can hope for, really. Short of unexpected dice, you don't even have to use your normal summon.
Oh, but there's Ghostmourner. Leonard was about to say it. There are a lot of hand traps in this. And there's, for example, Ghostmourner and Moonlit Chill, which makes that Dryas chill for quite a bit.
I'm loving the crowd here. It's like we're doing a stage play. You know, every time something happens, the crowd's like... every play, there is a cheer.
Have you seen Jessica's hand? There are, I think, 2 infinite impermanences in there, another spell, and now Rika Glamour. So I think that we might not see a full combo here. This Ghostmourner and Moonlit Chill was absolutely powerful.
Huge, absolutely huge. And we've formed quite a crowd here in the venue as well. So many people watching the game, trying to see who's become our new European champion for this. Now, Mudan is being activated, summoning itself, and it's huge for Jessica, but at least this is going to resolve. Because if Christian now had Ash Blossom or Impermanence for this, I think Jessica would have been left with almost nothing.
So here we see the Con-Con. And since Jessica's already used the Glamour this turn, it probably means she's going to have to go after Sheet to set face down.
Which is quite okay, right?
It's pretty handy. So she's going to have at least Sheet and, as you said, 2 infinite impermanents. So I guess it's a mystery to us still what the last card in her hand might be.
Oh, she goes for another Glamour. So maybe the last card in hand or one of the impermanents, as you spotted, is Rika Sheet.
All right, but let's also see if Christian has maybe another hand trap in his hand. I mean, does he even play field-breaking cards? I think that he's playing 1 enemy controller.
Yeah, there's 1 enemy control in the main deck. There's more coming in from the side deck, but in the main deck, that's the only one. And besides that, not really. He really went for the hand trap approach. As I said, very unpopular. Cards such as Ghostmourner and Effect Veiler. It's a set 3 cards going over to Christian. 5 cards in hand. This is not the field that Rika wants to produce.
And one of those cards is for sure Rika Glamour next to the deck. So that is also really important to notice. There are just 2 threatening cards face down that you do not know about.
A really interesting build from Thomas here. Like almost all of the other Kashtira decks we've seen, and the most popular cards is to play things like maybe Talents, maybe Book of Moon, but Christian just going for a full suite of hand traps instead. What do you think of that?
I mean, you gotta give it to him. He's in the finals, so obviously it's the correct decision. But I really like it. When everyone goes into one direction, it's usually a very smart move to just counter the field and go for a different approach. So therefore, I'm quite happy with what Christian did here.
One of the things I do like about it is it might make you a lot less vulnerable to cards like Evenly Matched and Lightning Storm. So a lot of times, you know, even though the Kashtira board is extremely threatening, you do, if you keep cards in hand then, instead, if you keep your interruptions in hand instead of leaving them on the field, you're less vulnerable to those cards.
Yeah, totally. So we are revealing a bunch of spell cards, Terraforming, Theosis. We see there's also Effect Veiler in there and the Ash Blossom. So do we have enough hand interruptions already, or do we need the engine here?
I would be amazed to see an Effect Veiler be added.
I mean,
maybe the Ash Blossom,
If he already has the planet Greatsouth and a Unicorn maybe, but we are choosing Birth, and this is usually a really good choice. If you can already play this, helps you play through some interruptions. You can always go for a Unicorn here, search out a Theosis, activate that one. See if your opponent wants to do something with the Rika Sheet, because I imagine that you will have to bait this one out first.
Oh, and there's the first Kashtira monster of the finals being summoned, and it is Kashtira Fenrir.
I want to say this is definitely the best card here, because you can just, impermanence immediately. Keep in mind, middle zone.
And I do like that, because Jessica here plays around enemy controller, because if Christian goes Chain Link 1, Fenrir, and she tries to imperm that, a chained enemy controller might be crucial.
And we are reading Rika cards again.
Of course. Flashback to 1 year ago where Marcus Patel played those cards in the finals, and still people have not picked up on it completely.
I think he knows what it does. I think you always just take a moment to check. So one thing to know about Rika Con-Con is you do need to have a Rika monster in play in order to use its effect of tributing an opponent's monster.
I think that if there is a Rika Sheet, you have a guaranteed line of play if you have a Unicorn in hand as well, because Christian can just activate Birth. Oh, Rise Heart here is also a really good choice there, because you can special summon out the Rise Heart, activate this effect, and then force the Ricochet out with a Dark Armed. And then you have the Birth to summon back the Fenrir that you can then activate.
Let's see, maybe there is another Impermanence though. Oh wait, no, we know that there's one Rika Glamour, so
yeah,
it should be Sheet plus Glamour, but let's see. First of all, of course, the effect is going to pay its cost. We are banishing the Unicorn to banish 3 cards face down from the top of the deck. And is there going to be a response by Jessica? She kind of has to, right?
I think you have to here, because you can tribute one of your opponent's monsters to take control of the other one, so that you don't want to let them combine into an XYZ, because then you'd have to tribute your own Mudan instead.
The only problem with that is that you're leaving an open field to that. So Kashtira players like when their field is empty, because they can just special summon out Kashtira monsters again from their hand for free. So that could turn out to be a problem. And now I think I like what Christian is doing, because by the fact that he now has 3 monsters on the field, Ricochet isn't as powerful anymore.
I think it really is, because now you can take away the Unicorn and then leave your opponent with maybe just the Rise Heart for this turn.
Yeah, Fair enough, I agree with Leo here. I'm not sure. I feel like you should try and force out the Ricochet before.
I think the Dark Arm would have been a really good line.
Or Big Eye, or anything really, to force out the Ricochet and get the Mudan off the field.
So there is the Ricochet we were anticipating. Jessica also agreeing with the 2 of you. And she found the spot to use it. Which one are we tributing? Probably the one that already used its effect, right?
That's a really good question, actually.
Yeah, we are trying to tribute the Fenrir and trying to take control of the Unicorn here.
Well, Fenrir hasn't actually used its effect, right?
Oh, true. You're right. She played around the enemy.
Do you think that there is going to be a normal summon Fenrir here?
There hasn't been a normal summon yet this time.
Yes.
So that's why it's scary. There's like the normal summon still available, so leaving Christian with a monster here in that case is not that great, honestly.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier that it was nice to play around the enemy controller.
And there
is normal summon Fenrir. That is incredibly powerful, and that explains why he wanted to bait out the Ricochet just like that. We can now just safely go search some follow-up, or you could even go for the Scareclaw Kashtira to extend your field even more and secure Kashtira a Rise Heart.
I must have been that the Impermanence
was on activation,
was changed to the Fenrir. I was going to say, because there is obviously the upside of not being enemy controller, but there's a big downside is if your opponent manages to get a second one in play, they'd be able to use its effect.
But honestly, Christian piloted that really, really, really well. Like, step by step, he was playing around stuff, and he now ended up with an Exceed monster on the field that will be able to activate and probably also resolve its effect.
Jessica just asking for a translation, maybe? Looks like the judge is translating the card for Jessica there.
Yeah, the new version of the Dark Arm Dragon, the Dragon of Annihilation, that can be used twice per turn, or as many times as you have materials, but in this case, it would only be 2.
But you cannot attack after you've used its effect. So if you want to rank up that Dark Arm into a Zeus, then you would have to attack before using its effect.
I think that's a pretty cute line, isn't it? Just going for the battle phase first, trying to run over the Mudan, and then in main phase 2 trying to go for Zeus after clearing another card off the field.
I mean, there is also a way in which you want to keep your Birth on the field.
True.
So you could agree to pop the Mudan, pop the Concorde, just so you could stop the follow-up, and once there is this Rika Glamour activated later on,
we can attack the Mudan and then pop the 2 other cards, and then you get the Unicorn back in the
right. That's probably the line.
I don't know if you guys noticed that, but I really enjoyed seeing the Neuron app in action there. That was really swish. You just scanned the card and just showed it. That was really cool.
Yeah,
I really
Neuron
like
is
that.
a good application for sure. So, Dark Arm is being activated, and they double read it, and we know that this card is Glamour, so we want to deny Jessica out of her follow-up here.
So just the 1 card in hand going to be left for Jessica after this, staring down a Unicorn and a Kashtira Birth, and whatever Christian's last card in hand is.
And also, usually, Rika has good follow-up by Rika Paddle, but there is no Paddle this time to be special summoned back out from the graveyard.
And I actually like that a lot more. You're going to get back the Unicorn. You have the Zeus on the field now as well. So if there is some big follow-up from Jessica, because I think 2 Glamours out and 1 Ricochet out, maybe there are no more targets.
Yeah, that's lovely by Christian. Very well piloted. And now what can Jessica even do here?
Can she even do something? She's packing up!
She does pack up her stuff, and that means Christian Thomas, even though going second in this game, is taking game number 1 here with the Kashtira strategy.
Wow.
I did not see that coming. That Mona was crazy.
Yeah.
That all just completely shut down Jessica's turn. I mean, we've seen time and time again, just one Loci can end on this absolutely ridiculous field. And Christian's showing like how his deck is built, and including this large suite of hand traps. Really cool stuff.
It worked out like a charm once more, and now, as it worked out in game number 1, it maybe works out in game number 2 too, but Jessica has some tricks up her sleeve as well coming in from the side deck. There is Vinaturia Rose Whip, most likely going to be a side in going first into basically every matchup you could imagine. Then also the Spiritual Water Art Aoi from Cybernetic Revolution, from the back in the deck.
I love this card.
That's pretty crazy. And also, I think I really like that she's bringing in additional copies of Furion Lily Borea from her side deck as well, because that just gives you extra grind game, extra follow-up. I really, really like that as well.
One question maybe for Jessica's side decking is, so you mentioned the Rose Whip. Now, a lot of Kashtira decks play a lot of spells, a lot of traps maybe to help them go second, like Evenly Matched and Lightning Storm and Dark Ruler and so on. However, Jessica's seen a Ghost Mourner. Now, to me, that's quite far down the list of hand traps that you expect to see. So maybe she can cotton on that there's actually a lot of hand traps in Christian's deck. Maybe you keep that Rose Whip in the side.
Is she running Talents, though? Because if you're having Thrust in the deck, you can actually search out the Talents. Well, you can't use it if you are playing versus just Ashes and Veilers, because you cannot actually activate the card, and you want to get possibly an AoE.
There's no Talents, but shall I tell you something? Even though there's a million hand traps in the deck of Christian Thomas, he decided to not play Dimension Shifter in his main deck, which is crazy, because you just said he went way down the list. He went for Moonlit Chill, he went for Effect Veiler, but Dimension Shifter is a card he did only put into his side deck. Now the question becomes, is that a card you want to bring in necessarily versus Rika?
I think it is, for sure. I think the only reason you don't include it is because you're very scared of the mirror match. And also maybe he was, he heard the message that all of the Italians heard that they were all supposed to be playing Flanderies this weekend. But
potentially.
Also, there is a Vanquish Soul, which also can run a Shifter. So the card is not really that strong anymore, just in certain matchups. Also, I like that if you're saying, okay, if I'm going first, I'm going to summon a Rise Heart anyways, then I really don't need the Dimension Shifter, so I can actually just play other hand traps. To be fair, if you are having a Rise Heart, a Veiler doesn't help you as well.
That's absolutely true. The thing is, yes, Dimension Shifter does lower the follow-up that Rika can create, but they can still combo off quite well. They can still set up some really, really good interruptions, so it does not really feel like the best card you want to have versus Rika. So I want to say I even like Ghost Mourner and Moonlit Chill better than Dimension Shifter, to be honest.
I think it's a combination of hand traps that you want to have, right? You want to have the Shifter plus a Veiler maybe, so you have to, on an effect, go Shifter Chain Veiler, so you can actually resolve both of them. But
that's rough,
I think in a combination this is really strong.
Totally. What also is really strong, that players are ready with side decking, so game number 2 is about to begin. Let's get back to the table right now. Here we go. Can Christian Thomas do it one more time, win this going second, or will Jessica now really, really show us why she got that far, why she is the Rika expert that she definitely is?
I like the Jessica and Christian just having conversations, Jessica being like, yes, I will in fact start the game. I'm not gonna try anything crazy.
Yeah, you gotta be formal, just informing your opponent that you would like to start this off. And how is she going to do so?
Is she going to start with a Genius Sunseed Loci?
No, this time she is bringing out Marcus Patel. No, no, it's not.
It should be called Rika Robinson at this point, right?
I agree. So we are searching out Rika Princess. Quick double read by Christian Thomas. But as we were saying, this is not Sunseed Genius Loci, so we're not starting off with the Sun Avalon stuff, and we got right into the Rika stuff instead. And usually it's Sun Avalon first, Rika second, but now she already has to start with the ladder.
Yeah, is there a good way to bridge into the Sunseed cards? I don't think there is from here.
I mean, to be fair, you can just also use the Petal to link summon into the Dryas. That totally works because it only needs one level 4 or lower plant monster. But then, yeah, as you just see, she actually used the Rika Princess here. And if you have Sowing in your hand already, that will do the trick, because now we are into our Son of a Long combo. If you have that card hard drawn, and that does resolve.
Oh, that's very cool. Yeah, I was going to say, you don't get the full effect of the Dryas, but if you've already got the Sowing, then...
Exactly, there's no surge of the Sowing, but there's a Sowing is already in your opening hand. That doesn't matter at all to you.
So we are immediately getting out the Lokai here as well, ready to combo off. This is a bit of an awkward start for Jessica, but I am 100% sure that she knows how to go on from here.
She basically can play out every single Rika hand there is. I'm 100% sure, so she will have no trouble to also figure out the line here. I'm really, really sure. And the cool thing now is also that there's Rika Princess already in the graveyard. So Christian, with his 1000+1 hand traps, is not going to be able to resolve the first one that he would like to use.
Yeah, he will need at least 2, unless, of course, one of them is infinite impermanence, and that one works by itself. I don't know if it's in his deck, but...
It is, of course.
One of the coolest hand traps, because it's actually a trap and gets around a lot of monster negation.
Absolutely. So Jessica going to activate the Rika Glamour here. What are we searching? Oh, we are searching Lily Borea and also the Snowdrop.
That is a super cool pair of plants to add to your hand. Lily Borea going to find its way into Therion King Regulus, pretty sharp.
There is the effect of Lily Borea. So if Christian has something to do here on Jessica's turn, it's probably going to be soon, because we are now also going to grab that Regulus, so we will have a double negate set up.
Yep, and that is double protection from hand traps. I think that Christian is going to have to deal with some field-breaking cards here, but I think looking at the side deck, there are quite a few, right?
That's the thing. He only plays the good old hand traps in the main deck, but from his side deck, there's much more coming in terms of field-breaking cards. Frost, Talons, Lightning Storm, Duster. I think he's good to go, even though he has no interruption just yet.
Do you think that maybe he just sides out all of those hand traps to go for a full power spell going second?
That would be pretty crazy. Just tricking your opponent into believing that it's only going to be hand traps, and then just going full field-breaking cards in the second game.
I think Jessica will be fine with that. I feel like Rika is excellent at even being hit with cards like Dark Ruler No More, which has picked up a lot in popularity this weekend. Having access to Rika Sheet, which is an extra form of interruption that's not a monster effect, and the Concon, of course, just to tribute an opponent's monster, is really powerful.
The thing is, I do believe you're just always going to side in Naturia Rose Whip, whatever it is. And if your opponent then decides to go for the field-breaking cards, that is a problem, because Lightning Storm and so on will not really be able to get rid of that.
Ah, but the Dark Ruler No More.
It would be able to, but I think there is no Dark Ruler No More in Christian Thomas' deck.
That is indeed true.
All right, then. Rose Whip will be excellent against him.
So, Jessica just double-checking. I love how Jessica and Christian are playing with each other. Like, every single time after something happens, just confirming with your opponent that it's okay, that we can move on, that we can definitely have a safe ground to play on.
Yeah, it's always nice to see a match where players are communicating very clearly and just playing like...
Just a quick adjustment of the graveyard by our featured match judge. We have the healer on the field as well. Now the life points are going to be adjusted once more, getting some 300 life points in. Tasty.
Absolutely.
Don't know where that came from, to be honest.
So
you really wanted those life points.
Already on the screen there in the card highlight tool, but will it also find its way onto the field? I think Christian now informed Jessica that he wants to think. Oh. And the only thing he could think about here would be a potential Nibiru, I want to say. Does he have Nibiru plus impermanence or something like that?
But I mean,
well, you can't negate
the princess
with an impermanence, right?
Fair enough.
Although Nibiru plus impermanence is usually just completely foolproof. There's very rarely a way to stop that, but here we do.
Is he running DD Crow as well?
DD Crow shuffles back for Princess shuffles back for cost, so you'd have to preemptively use the DD Crow, yeah.
So,
but this is really the last chance for him to use hand trap, right? Because the Therion King is going to be summoned pretty soon.
It should be the case, yeah.
Oh, unless, am I right in thinking that Petal locks you into plants for the turn?
Is it Petal? There is one Rika card that locks you into plants, that's for sure, but I'm not sure whether it is Petal. Leo, you just have the card right there.
I'm going to let you guys read it as well.
Yeah, you cannot special summon monsters except plant monsters.
So Regulus is not going to be a card here, but we did search for Primula. right there, but it's also one of the one-off Rika cards we are playing in this deck.
Yeah, I think Primula is included. I mean, it's a reasonable extender, but I think it's included specifically to give you an extra level 4 monster to search with Rika Glamour.
Oh, and there's the impermanence onto the Jasmine. And there's nothing Jessica can do about it. As we said, multiple ways to negate monster effects, but impermanence is just a trap card.
Christian is now doing what Jeho really couldn't do in his game versus Jessica. He is incredibly patient, waiting for the perfect moment to throw this infinite impermanence. And this really seems to be strong against Jessica. But let's see how she can continue this turn.
I wonder what level she made her monsters with the Snowdrop.
Doesn't really matter.
Doesn't matter if you're going to link summon with them.
Oh,
there's another Jasmine.
I don't really know whether I've ever seen that before. There's one Jasmine in the extra monster zone and now another one in the main monster zone. And there is going to be the effect of Sunvine Healer to be used from the graveyard.
And now Christian will have to read the cards again because they have so many different effects.
So, yep, Healer is back, Healer targeting Vidrius, and Jessica once more gaining life points. I don't know, is that just her strategy from now on? Are we just winning by gaining life points at that point?
Well, I was just double checking the effect of Jasmine, and it looks like the effect to add a plant from your deck to your hand is not limited to once per turn. So if you summon another copy, I think you can just do it again.
That would be really cool.
The next question is how many...
But there's also another infinite impermanence by Christian. So Jessica following it up with a second copy of Jasmine, but Christian had the answer.
Imagine having to start with the Princess already, locking yourself out of the Regulus or the Petal, and then you're realizing that your opponent is just hitting you with multiple impermanences. That is crucial. And I think she's just going to end on a Bengal answer.
That's usually what's coming out of the Melias. Melias plus Loki will probably going to end up... Okay, he goes for... Or she goes for the Dryas plus Melias into Bengal Lancer, as you were just saying. The thing is, Bengal Lancer, in theory, a pretty cool card, but versus Kashtira specifically, getting cards back to the opponent's hand is not really what you wish.
You can basically just deny a Theosis if your opponent doesn't start with a Fenrir.
Yep.
She does still have the Snowdrop effect, so she's going to make a rank 8 here, it looks like.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's a lot better. Now it's Bengal Lancer plus also the
Teardrop.
Teardrop.
Queen. So we know, it looks like Jessica's got 2 cards in her hand, so that would make for 1 Therion King and 1 that we don't know.
And it also looks like we did not get the Concon to the field, so we are also not having Ricochet, which is usually the best interaction of the deck, which I feel like it is.
I mean, we just had no access to Mudan at all, and Mudan is like the key point of getting your Rika engine going, and therefore Jessica will only have to rely on this as being her end field. Does Christian have now one of those field-breaking cards we were talking about? Does he just have Darkhold to immediately go after this?
Darkhold would be absolutely strong right here. I don't think that this is in the deck, though.
It would still be cool.
Yeah, we're summoning out Unicorn here.
And now it's a crucial point. Do we just tribute this right away and pray that Christian doesn't have another Kashtira monster?
Or do we let it go through and maybe search a Birth? What do we think of that?
I mean, Birth then also is crucial. So I think at this point, Jessica kind of has to take a gamble, hoping that there's no additional Unicorn in his hand. I mean, there's only 2 Unicorn in his deck, so chances are that there is not an additional one.
Maybe Princess? All right, but we're going to go to our deck. So Christian is able to search off of Unicorn. And this adds a Birth. This is an indicator that there already might be the Kashtira Theosis in hand. Or are we just going to normal summon a Fenrir next to the Unicorn?
I feel like the Birth is higher priority than the Theosis here, right? Because if you activate Theosis, as you mentioned, then you can chain Bengal Lancer, and that will stop the Theosis from summoning a monster.
Yeah. Also, the Teardrop is going to tribute one of Christian's monsters, so it will end up in the graveyard at some point, and then having Kashtira Birth ready is pretty decent. But Christian taking his time here to figure out what to do.
For Birth to be valuable, of course, you need another monster in hand, because if you have nothing, then you would have to go for the Theosis.
Exactly. Yeah, and probably you want exactly Fenrir, or maybe when I say that now, maybe you could have Rise Heart, which would special summon itself and allow you to banish Fenrir from your deck, so you can get that back Birth.
And we are normal summoning the Fenrir, and now I think it is the perfect... Okay, Bangalancer is
I
just
like
going to
that.
bounce that one. That's a pretty huge Bangalancer here.
I do like that, but Christian takes his time thinking about whether to respond. Of course, you will have to pay 2,400 life points for that. But it is going back to hand. Does Christian have a way to extend from that? As you were saying, Rysart would be a pretty good way to do that. But does he have access to that? Maybe Theosis as well?
Also, there's still Princess, right?
Yep.
True.
Princess is less valuable of a negation when you don't have the Con because you can't tribute an opponent's monster to negate an effect. Instead, you have to tribute one of your own, which is normally fine, but both of Jessica's monsters seem pretty valuable here.
Oh, but we are, of course, activating the effect of Kashtira Unicorn, so Christian will have a close look at the extra egg that Jessica has brought to this final of the World Championship Qualifier Europe in Utrecht.
Does the Disc Colosseum do anything here?
That's a very good question. It adds a Therion monster.
Yeah,
But it also has a
yeah.
battle it actually has a battle effect, so it would be able to, in battle phase, also use its effect, which is kind of nice.
Just
Is that
to-
only true for Therion monsters, or could it be any kind of monster?
No!
Yeah, I
Once
think
per
it's
turn,
any
when a
kind of
monster
monster,
is
right?
destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can target one Therion monster in your graveyard.
Yeah.
That could be extremely relevant if
Yeah.
Jessica knows and Christian knows.
So, but there is the race-off,
Wow.
so he can basically choose which of the ones he wants. Also, pretty important, there is now the attack gain effect in place of the race-off, so Unicorn could just run over Bangalancer, and that is pretty impressive. Teardrop, so also
so
has 2,800 defense, so I think the Unicorn is at 2,800 now as well, so if he finds another monster to summon out, that would be big enough.
With a different attribute as well.
And that would be the Kashtira Rysart. However, Teardrop is still a thing right here. I'm trying to think of a way in which you are completely fine by just going for Special Summon Rysart here, because then I think Teardrop would have to be used.
Yeah, but then you have
I agree.
Kashtira Birth, and then you can just bring back the
true.
Rysart. So I think we're totally fine with that. He decides for the Scareclaw Kashtira, though, which is also a reasonable thing to do, because if you now use Scareclaw Kashtira, you can banish one of your Kashtira monsters from the hand, which you then can bring back with Kashtira Birth. So that's kind of nice too.
Yeah, I really love this play actually, because I was thinking as you guys were to add the Rise Heart, but then that would get tributed, and then you'd never have a way to get your Fenrir into play because you'd have to bring back the Rise Heart from Kashtira Birth. But this way, you just banish the Fenrir straight from your hand and can summon it straight up with Birth. Also, it's got a very threatening effect when you go second. Scareclaw Kashtira. Any monster that battles a Kashtira monster will have its effect negated. So this forces out the Teardrop
And I
if he
think-
wants to, just by attacking.
Jessica did not even think about negating the effect of Scareclaw Kashtira, because that activates in hand. That Rika Princess in the graveyard was not chained to this, and therefore it has immediately hit the field. Because if she would have just negated the effect of Scareclaw Kashtira, that would have meant that both cards would have stayed in hand, right?
I think so too. Let's check Scareclaw Kashtira if this is... I think this is not a cost because you can Ghost Bell it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not
it's
a cost.
definitely not
That's
a
the thing.
cost,
Like
yeah,
both
exactly.
of them would stay in hand, but there is the tribute effect of the Snowdrop. Or rather, Teardrop it is, right?
And now I think you can even run over the Teardrop with the Scareclaw Kashtira and run over the Bangalancer with the Unicorn.
True, we now have 4 attributes, so that Unicorn would be big enough, but also, of course, the Scareclaw Kashtira is big enough to run over it.
I was thinking...
Oh, wait, but let's not forget about the bonus effect of Teardrop, right? Because Teardrop gains
Unfortunately,
300
only
attack and
attack
defense.
points.
Oh, only attack points? That's
I read
really
that one earlier
unfortunate.
as well. I was checking to see if it gained enough stats, but it doesn't, unfortunately.
So I was thinking as well about the Disc Colosseum protection effect, or the add-back effect rather. If you take away, okay, we're attacking with the Scareclaw Kashtira. If we are using the Disc Colosseum to summon back, to add back the Lily Borea, you can special summon out the Lily Borea soon, but there is no card that you can search from your deck, and then you have no card in your graveyard that you can target with the Therian King Regulus that you have in hand. So you could still use it as an extender and then link it off at some point, but you would... I think it's a free summon. It's pretty good. Depends on
Yeah,
the
that was what I was about to say too.
I think once you finished your own thought, it was like, yeah, I think we should add it and then summon with it.
Yep.
But it's
And-
definitely worth considering.
Of course, Jessica does use the effect, does remember the effect of Fury on this Colosseum here, and that will be able to send that Lily Borea to the graveyard.
Oh, it protects as well.
Yeah,
No,
absolutely.
I was getting confused. So you can protect and send to the graveyard, and then when you destroy by battle, then you can add one back. So you also have 2 Lily Boreas now. This is really, really strong.
Yeah, I hadn't realized this either. Christian may not either have realized how badly this was going to go, maybe, just using the battle phase here.
It's almost like we weren't reading the cards completely. What a mystery.
I mean, we can't even blame Christian. We didn't even. We had the card in front of us, we read it, and we both missed the first effect.
Happens every time.
To be honest, Firion Disc Colosseum is not the card that usually stays on the end field of the Rika board.
It's no excuse, though.
Exactly. You would usually have Rika Concom there, which is super powerful. But we are just trying to attack again. And this time it is successful. We are running over the Teardrop.
I thought that at this point you could run over the Bangalancer as well and then go into a Big Eye, take control over the Teardrop, because you can actually use the effect as long as you have a plant monster as the material, and then go for Zeus over the Big Eye.
Oh, that's a cool idea.
I would have liked that too.
Yeah, I was thinking of Big Eye take Bangalance. I'm not
sure. That works as well, I think.
So let's see, do we go for the good old Big Eye? Such an old and iconic card. Of course, it's not the regular Big Eye, but
this
the
is much better.
number 11 Big Eye. 11 my lucky number, by the way, in case you didn't know.
I was wondering if you knew the effect of regular Big Eye.
There's none, right? Or is
yeah, there's a Big Eye. It's a flip. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck.
Oh, fair enough.
Bangalancer has a powerful grave effect that special summons itself back, so it is much cleaner to go for this line, go for the Zeus over the Big Eye, and take the Bangalancer because it can't be summoned back immediately.
Honestly, I feel like Christian has not done a singular mistake so far in this final. He's really piloting well through what Jessica is putting up there, but now he has to face that Rika Paddle coming back from the graveyard in the end phase.
Yeah, Paddle are really powerful. Little extra bonus at the end of each of your opponent's turns. Even if your opponent looks like they've got through everything you have to offer, there's still one more thing you're for sure going to have to deal with.
This is also, Christian has not lost a single life point so far, so Bangalancer won't hurt him that much. Does Bangalancer have any restriction, or can you just use this whenever?
So there comes the Regulus from hand. We knew about that. Does Christian right away respond to that?
I mean, you can't really, right?
I do agree, it's kind of rough.
It'll be an interesting time to Zeus.
But that makes the paddle go off pretty easily, doesn't it? You can't really do anything about the paddle now either.
I mean, you can use the Bangalancer at some point, bounce back the Ethereum King Regulus. That will, of course, maybe be negated. And then you can Zeus. But then again, the Bangalancer is in the graveyard, so that's also not that great. I think this is a decent spot for Jessica here.
I do agree. It doesn't look too bad for her.
Christian with just the 1 card left in hand, which I'm not sure we know what it is.
I don't think he showed us that just yet, so it might be one of the hand traps he has left.
Yeah,
there is Mudan. Finally access to Mudan, and access to Mudan also, of course, means finally access to Rika Concon, because that's the card you want to grab with it.
Jessica just got to make sure that she destroys or deals with that Zeus before committing everything to the field.
Also, there is a Rika Princess still in the graveyard, right? So even if you're going for this Bangalancer bounce regular Zeus line.
Oh, and look at that. All 3 Lily Boreas now in play. As we were saying, 2 already in the main deck, and the 3rd one find its way into the main deck as well from the side deck. So I love that perspective. All the Firion cards there right next to each other.
Yeah, is this a Rika deck or a Therion deck?
At this point, it's Therion.
I couldn't tell. Regulus, Lily Borea, and Lily Borea there, forming a pretty cool field. And also that Disc Colosseum there, so it's even stronger.
It's true.
Yeah.
Does Lily Borea have any other effects other than searching a Therion spell?
The Firion monster equipped with this card gains 700 attack. So actually, this would be big enough to run over the Zeus here, which we are trying to do, in fact.
But there is still a Raidsoth for Christian.
But wait, let's calculate. Lily Borea is equipped with 1 Lily Borea, meaning she goes up to 3,100. But there's also Raidsoth, and Raidsoth does not only increase attack points, but also defense points.
And for any monster as well.
I do believe that Zeus is actually big enough to withstand that attack, right? Yes, I think we are going to take damage here from attacking into the Zeus.
Jessica got a little bit ahead of herself, because I think that Therion King Regulus is still stronger than the Zeus.
So Therion King's at 3,500. How many attributes do we have in play?
1, 2, 3.
I think it should be free. Yeah. Oh, and on attack declaration, Christian heavily considering to use the effect, and he in fact does so. And Jessica still has that Rika Princess in the graveyard.
Yeah, perfect time for the Rika Princess here. Not too much of a cost to tribute off that Lily Beret. It wasn't even big enough to attack over Zeus anyway, so what do we need it for?
That's indeed true. And now the Zeus is run over by the regulars. The next question I want to ask myself is, what can she do after this? Because yes, she got rid of the Zeus. She used the Princess. There is still a Bangalancer on Christian's side. He has the Kashtira Birth and one card in hand.
But
so
I mean, we have Mudan.
Jessica has the Mudan.
Yeah.
And she has the Therion King to negate Bangalancer. And Therion King as well, normally it only comes in with one negate, but I think you can negate by sending the Lily Berea if it's attached as well. So that should mean you can negate once on this turn and again on your opponent's turn.
I think you need to trade a monster? I'm not too sure about that.
So Mudan coming onto the field, and the last card in hand for Christian was Effect Veiler. So still no access to Rika Concon here. Through that Effect Veiler, that's huge for Christian. So Jessica really again being stopped in her track. But we are trying to negate with Regulus, sending the Lily Borea.
I think you have to send a Therion monster card.
I think it's still considered a Therion monster card, yeah. It's a bit of a strange ruling, I totally agree, but I think it's still considered a monster card. It doesn't say equip it as a spell card, although I'm not 100% sure, but I think I've seen people
equip
do this
that monster
before.
to this
I'm
card.
99% sure that Jessica has done that a couple of times before, and she knows her Rika stuff and also her Therion stuff, so I would be pretty shocked if that wouldn't be correct here. And therefore we do in fact get access to the Rika Concon, which now will be the new field spell on our side of the field.
Would it have been the correct play to preemptively use Bangalancer on the Therion King Regulus, just so you have this Veiler in your hand that you can activate if the Mudan comes down, because you knew that it was coming?
I do kind of like that, I gotta say, yeah. Because, I mean, Mudan activates in hand, right?
Wait, you can only set up your Rika cards with Concon if you control a Rika monster. So if you bounce this one back now...
Can we tribute
but
summon
I mean,
the Mudan?
yeah, exactly, that's what I was thinking.
How big is Mudan?
Mudan is level 6, I'm pretty sure, so we can just tribute it over the Regulus. That's what I was thinking.
Oh, this is a very cool game. There's a lot of niche interactions going on here.
Let me just double check. Yeah, it's a level 6. It absolutely is a level 6, so we could make our Rika Concon live here again. Oh, and there's also triple tactics thrust! Sided in, going first by Jessica, but now there is a monster on Christian's side of the field, so we can just search out any spell or trap card that we like from our deck. That's huge!
Are we actually searching for Glamour right here? Because then you could tribute the Bangalancer on the opposing side after you tributed the Regulus, of course, because you still need a plant monster.
Or maybe a talent? Does she have a talents to go with the tactics?
No, we checked for that earlier. There's no talents in her deck.
Wow, just the tactics.
I mean, there are other really good cards you can grab out.
Maybe something as simple as a Harpy's Feather Duster to make sure the Birth is no longer in play.
Oh yeah, right after this. Oh no, we can't use Birth here. I was thinking you could banish from the graveyard. No, you can use the Glamour.
Just Engine.
And you don't really even need to tribute the Mudan here, right? You can just tribute the Bangalancer immediately with the Concon and then special summon it out as well.
Well, you wouldn't be able to do that yet because Concon, you need to have a Rick monster.
Not just for setting a spell or trap card from the deck.
Oh, absolutely.
Really?
So
yes.
we are tributing Christians, or rather our own Bangalancer, because it goes back to our graveyard. And Rika Glamour is resolving here. That's super big for Jessica.
And the Bangalancer are going to be able to come back.
Oh, the Orchid!
And also the Predator and Spider Orchid. So that would be a way to take care of the Kashtira Birth. So I think Christian is going to be left with nothing after this.
Was it really the correct play to Bangalancer the Therion King Regulus and keep the Veiler in hand for the Mudan later on? This is such a crazy comeback from Jessica. She really shows Christian how to play this Rika deck. I mean, he's not trying to play the Rika deck, but now everything is cleared off. The Birth is gone as well. Bangalancer is going to be summoned back. There is still the Therion King Regulus. This is just looking perfect for her in this game too.
Also, I love how she held that triple tactics thrust for so long, right? Nobody saw it coming, and then she just played out the most powerful card that we have seen in this final so far. And Jessica equals the score. We will have the third games on our hand. That's crazy. And the crowd loves it. Look at those people celebrating. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is beautiful, and we are all enjoying this final. Wow.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Is especially beautiful when we're playing with these lovely plant monsters as well. No offense to the Kashtira guys, but you know, some big psychic monster things compared to the lovely plants that Rika is.
I think Unicorn is cute, so this card is really, really strong as well, of course. But what a game we have just seen. We had cool lines of going for Zeus, taking a Bangle Lancer before with the big eye, outing the field back and forth. I really love to see this. But the first turn even, setting up the Princess immediately from Jessica, playing around all of those monster effects just to get hit by double impermanence. What is this?
Now it will be pretty interesting to see, though. We see in his deck list that Christian Thomas is super prepared for going second, but now he will be kind of forced to go first, or he has the pleasure to go first. So what is he going to do? Is it even strong enough to just go a Rise-Out pass or something like that versus Rika?
Having had a look at his deck list, to me it says go second.
You think he just goes second again?
Well, if he wants to use his side deck, I think he's going second with it. But maybe he goes first and just shoves in those anti-spell fragrances.
There is anti-spell fragrance, so at least he has an option if he wants to really guarantee having something cool to go with going first.
Also, I think if you're running all of those hand traps, it doesn't really hurt you if you're trying to go first, because those are just a great backup behind this Kashtira, a Rise-Heart, maybe also a Shangri-Ira and a Fenrir. So this field is still kind of impressive. If you can back it up by Morna and Ash Blossom, this is still really strong.
Totally agree. I think we are going to see him go first, and I mean, there are so many super versatile cards in this deck too, because setting enemy control is also kind of nice, because you can do the Rika technique of actually taking the opponent's monster to your side
the
of
opponent's
field.
monster, though.
Yeah, that's actually a sad thing, but I think it will be good enough for him in that case. And I mean, as you just said, there's so many cards you can just keep in your hand, being protected from field-breaking cards such as Lightning Storm and all that kind of stuff. Evenly matched, also one of the cards that Jessica Robinson is siding in, which is a superb side versus Kashtira, but not that superb of a side versus the hand trap Kashtira deck that Christian Thomas is bringing.
Christian Thomas just with a fantastic call for this event.
Totally. I'm absolutely in love with it. He already secured his spot for the World Championship with it, but now he wants to also secure being the European champion. He wants to bring it to Germany. Now that the UK had it last year with Marcus Patel, he wants to take it to Germany again. And I mean, we haven't been European champion for a while, to be honest, because before that it was France, before that it was UK as well.
I was going to say, I think we're going to continue a streak of UK domination.
We will have to see
that. We had a UK versus Germany final in the last Euros as well. We had Zio Mundri in the final there.
True.
So, yeah, Christian Thomas is trying to take it to Germany here. Jessica Robinson, of course, wants to have it in the UK. We are going to see how this plays out. Both players have had fantastic performances. We have seen so many quick games over this tournament, and I'm really happy that those are really long games back and forth. It is just incredibly exciting. The tension is real in the venue as well. Everyone is on the edge of their seats, and so are we.
I think the crowd as well, though, is so happy to see. I mean, maybe they're not all supporting Jessica, but everyone just really wants to see that game 3, and they're just really enjoying the final.
So we will have to see. Does history repeat itself after last year? Rika already won one European Championship. Is it going to be one more time, or will Christian Thomas and his Kashtira deck be the new European champion? Let's start game number 3 of the finals right now. The crowd wants to see it. The crowd wants to crown a new European champion. Friendly handshake before we get into the action. And we will see, is Christian in fact going first, or will he give the pleasure over to Jessica to start this third game?
I think I saw him motion towards himself there.
Yeah, also Jessica does not look like she's ready to combo off right here. And we are starting with Pot of Prosperity, which is pretty nice. So you can basically hand-pick the first card that you want to play, which will be the second card that you will play, because Prosperity was the first.
I like the way you said Jessica didn't look like she was ready. I think Jessica is always ready to combo.
Yeah, you could wake her up in the middle of the night and she would just put up a perfect combo.
Here's a Rika hand, go.
Okay, Loki, what do you do?
So 6 cards, what are we looking at? There's Kashtira Birth, there's a Unicorn, that's pretty huge if he didn't have that yet. There's Nibiru, also very nice.
Nibiru as a very valuable backup here for Christian. If he wants it, he can just now choose, do I need extenders, do I need starters, or do I need a backup plan if everything goes south? No, we are taking the Unicorn.
Yep, that's what we are definitely going to do. Jessica considering her hand for a second. I thought maybe Droll and Lockbird is coming down, but it is not. It would have been in their side deck, but probably not the best card to side in this matchup.
Unicorn is now going to search for the Birth again. We might actually see a Birth normal summon Fenrir play yet again just here. So what is it going to be, Christian? What can you offer for us?
It is Kashtira Furiosus first of all, and Jessica says, wait a second, I might have a response for that, but she does not, in fact. It is resolving, Fenrir hitting the field.
And I don't think we've been asking this question all weekend because we've not had too much Kashtira on the stream, but do you play around Nibiru? Are you an anti-Nibiru person?
It's rough. I think we did not see Nibiru in game 1, we didn't see Nibiru in game 2, so I would just go in it here.
For it.
We are not playing around Nibiru. We want to win this game with a big combo. That's
Even in the final.
Yes. I'm no person of securities. I just want to go for it.
That's fair.
All the way. And I think Christian has a similar mindset.
Yeah, that does sound like you, Sebastian. So we are going to see a Shangri-Ira.
But look, he is
here.
agreeing with me. Shangri-Ira is being summoned right away. Right after that, the Rysart is activating, and that means we will also special summon one of the materials through the effect of Kashtira Big Heart here. Big Bang, not Big Heart.
I'm sure Rysart has a big heart as well. And now Shangri-Ira is going to give us back one of those Fenrir or Unicorns. I'm much more of a Fenrir guy. But let's see. Also, do you think that he's going to leave a Fenrir on the field and then end up on one Rysart with one material? Or are we going for an overlay for the second Shangri-Ira and then have the 3 material Rysart ready?
He also has the Birth. It's not so easy to use the Birth in this situation. Normally it's good to have the field spell. I mean, it's always good to have the field spell. But if you have the field spell in this situation, then you can use the field spell to destroy your own copy of Shangri-Ira.
He's not sure himself there. Are we going for Fenrir or are we going for Unicorn? Because I have to say I also like Unicorn, because if you summon out Unicorn here, you can special summon out Fenrir from the deck, and there's only 2 Unicorns in your deck, but 3 Fenrirs. So I do have to say, if you want to have more Unicorns in your deck, I kind of like going that approach. But does Christian even special summon here? He just wants that for follow-up. He just keeps that Fenrir in his hand. That's a very, very smart decision there. I like that.
Yeah, it's a lesser known effect of Big Bang here, that you can just add the card straight to your hand if you want to. Keep it nice and safe.
Oh, but that's it. There's no anti-spell, no nothing. He's relying on all the hand interactions he has. There has to be Ash Blossom, Effect Veiler, or Ghost Mon in his hand, I'm sure.
Not gonna be impermanence, I can tell you that. We are in standby phase already, resolving the Shangri-Ira, and there is a Fenrir on the field in nice defense position. Lightning Storm who?
Like, what do you think about that end field there? Because a Rysart not being able to activate its effect just yet, because there's only one material under it. So is there even any kind of interaction?
Oh, there is Dark Ruler no more
from Jessica, and the crowd goes wild! No effects to be used from Christian's field anymore, so he has to rely on his hand from now on.
Also keep in mind, if she wanted to use Triple Tactics Thrust, she just absolutely could, because the Shangri-Ira activated itself in standby phase. So you can go for whatever you want if you have it. We are considering to activate the Small Ball. Okay, Small Ball is still incredibly powerful. You can get to the Sunseed Genius Loci.
With basically any monster, I think, will get you to the Sunseed Genius Loci.
Is he going to do something about it? No, is this going to resolve? We are going to reveal the Primula. Primula, what will be our bridge here? What will bring us access to that beautiful normal monster, to the Sunseed Genius Loci?
I love the theme of that card, because it indicates that this is a small world and every monster knows every other monster. You know? So you can just search basically anything with anything, and that is just beautiful.
But I think this is a super cool card. I don't think we've been seeing this that much in the Rika deck, and maybe it's why Jessica's running cards
look at
like
that! We don't even want Loci. We go for the Petal. Interesting decision there. I would have thought it's always going to be Loci, because that's the first monster you always want to summon out.
We might have it already.
So, true, that's a good point. We might already have Unexpected Die being the next card we activate, and then we just normal summon the Petal after, and we wanted to bait out an Ash Blossom with that Small World, and the Unexpected Die just comes right after. If that's what's going to happen.
What I really liked about Christian Thomas's play is that he really prepared himself for a Dark Ruler no more, because yes, he set up his end field, okay, but he added the Birth to his hand, did not play it out. He added back a Fenrir to his hand, did not play it out, so he just basically plussed the entire time for free in case Jessica breaks his field, and it is an evenly matched. So Jessica actually decides, hey, I can't deal damage anyways this turn, why don't I just evenly away your field?
And honestly, I love it more and more, but Christian just didn't commit too many cards to his side of the field because
Triple tactics! Thrust! Let's go! The next power card that she activates. We haven't gone into any of the plant card yet, but we are taking away Christian's field, Christian's hand with those generic cards that are just oh so powerful.
Oh boy, but there's
The
Blossom
is the perfect answer for it, because you can add the card from your deck to your hand. What is the next thing going to happen? We know that there is a petal and
we now know
Princess.
all cards. We start with Princess. Princess is going to go into Dryas. So next thing to happen is the normal summon of Petal.
Is there any more interruption from Christian here? There can't be, right? Because we have the Princess, and we have a Princess in graveyard should negate any monster effects, and no more infinite impermanences can come down.
But what do you make of this? Because Christian has a lot of follow-up in his hand already for the next turn. Fenrir and Birth, that is just a lot. And also she has to get rid of the Kashtira Arise Heart. I'm pretty sure there will be some Mangalancer shenanigans later on which can remove the Arise Heart from the field. However,
we can tribute it for Concon, I think. It shouldn't be too should be nice and easy to get rid of that Arise Heart.
There is the Concon. Concon also just immediately using its effect to set a recast spell or trap card. Do we go Glamour here? Most likely, right?
Yeah, I think so. One thing I'm really impressed by here is against almost every other Kashtira deck, there would have been a couple of set face down spell or trap cards, and that evenly match would have been very, very powerful. But here, it's already paired with the Dark Ruler no more. It was very minimal effect here. I mean, you might as well use it, of course. You've already used the Dark Ruler. You're not going to get too much value out of your battle phase, but this is really showing off Christian's deck building here.
And honestly, after seeing all of this, I think Christian just maybe didn't know that Jessica is not running triple tactic talents, because arguably Glamour is the best card you can ash. She's just going to get 2 plants off of this, because what else could have come off the ash?
Yeah,
the thrust.
You're right. Most likely would have been that. So we can now, because we also tributed another monster for cost, search for Petal and also for Velokai. And the thing is, we did already normal summon, so both of these cards are not going to be too impressive for this turn. So what can we make out of this here?
That's what I was thinking. Both of these monsters are not too useful.
I think the only real way is to go into good old Sylvan Dance Peon and then try to hit a card of the top of our deck. I like that, to be honest.
Is Dance Peon Link 2 or Link 3?
It is a Link 2, so it would be available, but she just passes it over. 1.5 minutes left on the clock, and it's again Christian Thomas' turn here.
Christian Thomas has the title as the European champion in the palm of his hand. He is now special summoning Kashtira Fenrir from his hand. He has the Birth follow-up, and he has, I think, at least 2 more cards. So that is really a lot that he can work with.
Jessica not using the Princess here. She's slow rolling it quite a lot.
We are searching out the Rise Heart, and I think Jessica might think that she would have to wait with that Princess for quite a while for maybe Banish face down effect or something. And it's very important that you are double reading that Son of Long Dryas here, because you might think, hey, there's only a monster with 0 attack and attack position, so we could even just run over it. But it's not so easy with the Dryas. You gotta read the effect fully there.
Birth is going to summon back the Unicorn. Unicorn is going to be able to search Kashtira Theosis as follow-up. We're going to summon the Rise Heart now as well. Everything in attack position. Is it possible that Christian Thomas is going for the game push right in this turn? Or is he going to slow roll? He has the Kashtira Scareclaw in hand, so no need for Theosis special summoning out the Scareclaw. Are we going to try to win this game in this turn?
Jessica is going to have a Princess, presumably to negate that Scareclaw Kashtira, maybe tribute off the Unicorn.
In the last game, yes, we are going to tribute that Unicorn. At least that's what she's thinking. Time is dwindling down here. Is Christian going to be able to put up enough damage here in this turn of the duel? Now there's timeout being announced, so the next damage that is going to be put in here will decide the outcome of this final.
And as there is the Fenrir in attack position, this card is always known for dealing a lot of damage. I don't think that the Scareclaw Kashtira is going to be summoned out here. It is going right back to the hand. We have the Birth, and funnily enough, if you normal summon Kashtira Scareclaw with the Birth, it is going to be in attack position, which is really not that useful.
That would be very funny. I mean, we do have the Fenrir effect here, right? Just to banish any of the monsters, and then that should just be enough just to attack directly, right?
And to be honest, Scareclaw Kashtira normal summon overlay with the Rise Heart is also a play that you will have to consider.
So first of all, though, we are going to use the effect of Rise Heart, making it a level 7. which apparently successfully happens. But we need Jessica, of course, to banish the top 3 cards of our deck.
Jessica with just that. Well, she's only got the 2 cards in hand that she added from Glamour last turn.
Yeah. This is really not looking like she's going to have a good time here. The Fenrir is set up. The Reinhardt is level 7. Are we going to do anything about that, as Christian Thomas? Are we going to normal summon the Scareclaw Kashtira? Yes, in attack position. What a stylish way to go into a possible rank 7 Exceeds play. We will not be able to summon Kashtira Reinhardt as it is in the graveyard, and it is limited to 1 copy per deck. And we're going to the battle phase. Fenrir is attacking. Fenrir wants to banish the Sun Avalon Dryas right here face down.
Has 2,400 defense points.
Wait, it does! Did Christian forget? Mudan actually is 2,400 defense?
What?
We will not be able to run over this Mudan! What's going on? Christian, did you not read the defense stats of this monster?
Just had to target the Mudan, and then it says you can attack directly if your opponent only controls a Dryas, and that would have been the game.
Christian, what a huge misstep! We're in battle phase. I don't think he's going to be able to deal damage this turn.
Christian Thomas just took the game out of the palm of his hand and maybe just gives Jessica the chance to recover in another battle phase. I would have never imagined this. We're looking at our extra deck. This might mean that we're already in main phase 2. That was a really easy way to deal damage. Christian.
So now he's considering his options, and also that will mean that there will be an attack position monster now left on the field, most likely for Christian.
Definitely main phase 2 here, because we're activating the Spot of Prosperity.
That is crazy. So it seems like Jessica will have another chance here in this. And of course, it is not going to end in a draw, as this is the final of the European Championship. But that means the first damage that is going to be dealt, or in this particular case, maybe even the first life points gain that Jessica might perform, and could be cool here.
If Christian just activated this Pot of Prosperity before, because how many life points you're taking does not matter, he would have found the enemy controller to turn the Mudan into attack position.
Or just take it. Anything.
Or that.
That would have been easy, but now he has to think about what to do in main phase 2. Way worse of the situation, and I think now you kind of want that Effect Veiler as an interruption, don't you?
Or maybe the enemy controller. Just take that monster off the field, get rid of maybe your Scareclaw Kashtira that has 0 attack points.
But I mean, also we kind of have to deal with that Mudan now, right? Because
I think this is
Mudan
Dark Arm time,
is
right?
a Rika monster on the field with Rika Concon together. I don't think that's too favorable.
It's
so probably
Dark
just
Arm
Dark
time.
Arm for both of them, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Dark Arm summon in attack position, which is also really brave, because we're opening ourselves up for another bit of damage. You can, if you leave up 1 monster in attack position, then you contribute it off of with enemy controller later on. But if you have 2, you do not have the option to have all of your monsters in defense position later on. So we're getting rid of the Concon and of the Mudan. We're banishing the Theosis first, so we are going to add some resources back to our hand. Christian Thomas is still not in a bad position, but I think it's crazy how often we have seen this for so many important games this weekend, that players just do not attack for game.
Is it even correct here destroying the Mudan, because that should let you summon the Petal, or the Petal can summon itself anyway, right?
Yeah,
you don't need no monsters, you just need only plant monsters.
You just can't have a non-plant, yeah.
So here comes the Petal.
Good start already for Christian, but and I mean, yeah, Kashtira Fenrir already was used to banish the Dryas face down, therefore we can't use it here anymore, as this is still the end phase of the same turn, and play will go back to Jessica Robinson, who now has the game in her hands. She can decide it here in this turn.
She must not. She must be absolutely amazed she's getting another turn here. We know there's 1 Petal, 1 Sunseed Genius Loci. What else can she do?
And Christian Thomas playing this entire tournament carefully to perfection, just to not attack in the correct sequencing. We're going to see another Rika Concon,
wow, that
which
was
is
the top deck.
Absolutely crazy draw right here. What are the other cards? It's Princess in hand and Petal, right?
Yes.
Loci.
It's Loci in hand, so you don't even want to take the Petal here, because that would enable him just to normal, or her to normal summon the Loci and then go off.
We have Birth, though. Does that change anything? Birth can be activated here after the Concon resolved, and now we are not going to banish anything. Concon is going to set a Rika spell from the deck, which is Rika Glamour in this case. Rika Glamour can tribute away the Fenrir.
This Concon is super powerful here because it can just clean away that Fenrir before you have to use any monster effects. So now that's one less interruption to worry about.
I'm kind of worried that Christian also did just not use the Kashtira birth effect there, because that Kashtira Fenrir might be gone in a second, as you were just mentioning. So rather use the Kashtira birth effect to banish 3 cards from the grave face down quickly.
Maybe she's just in his head right now, because this was a crucial mistake. And I don't know if he can recover from this, because Jessica just needs to deal any kind of damage right
or
here.
Or gain any life points.
We are tributing Fenrir for the effect of Snowdrop there.
And you cannot respond by tributing your Fenrir with enemy controller, because it is being tributed for a cost.
That is 2 special summons already, yes, and she just has to gain some life points. And we all know that a card that is called Healer is really good at that.
And getting another petal in play for free with the Snowdrop effect. Snowdrop can make all of your monsters level 8 here, which is another threatening thing. I mean, no level 8s do damage, but they clear away that Dark Arm Dragon very, very easily.
Christian Thomas is shaking his head. He knows what just happened, and Jessica is just in her element right now. This is what she wants to do the most. Go for uninterrupted combos with the genius Sunseed Loci. It enters the battlefield one more time, and this looks like a really, really easy combo for her, because she just starts with 4 monsters on the field. Yeah,
I mean, she's got that Genius Loci, which is full combo by itself. It's definitely enough to force out the enemy controller. You can just gain some life points maybe with the healer. This is going to have to be a very magical enemy controller, or something in Christian's hand that we don't know about.
Maybe a Nibiru.
Maybe a Nibiru. Nibiru could be a card that could turn this around one more time. But I gotta say, Healer is so powerful because it doesn't even activate at some point, but it does activate on its summon. So enemy controller cannot really answer that at all, to be honest.
And the Princess now should answer any possible hand traps.
Ooh, Nibiru not really a problem anymore. It's getting tense in here. Also the crowd, just everyone basically on the edge of their seat. They want to see whether Jessica will be able to do this.
Jessica does need to know the rules, that she doesn't lose just for taking 1,000 to the Sunvine sowing.
That would be quite funny, yeah.
Even though you gain it back instantly.
So Dry is being summoned. Christian probably going to think about that for a second. Jessica saying, sure, go ahead and use the enemy controller here. We now have all the time of the world because we are already in timeout.
I mean, she can just make a healer straight up. She doesn't need to do anything else. Healer just needs 1 material, right?
Yeah. That's true. And she's already touching her extra deck. She wants to bring it out so badly. Sunvine Healer might be the card to decide this final here.
I could just imagine the nervousness on Jessica Robinson right now, wanting to go for that healer. Why can't I just play this card right now? I want to get ahead in life points in timeout situations. But Nibiru, the primal being, but the princess is being activated. We're tributing the petal, and that does mean that Nibiru, the primal being, is not going to tribute away everything on the field. This looks like Jessica Robinson is just going to go for this Sunvine Healer after all. Can she finally do it? Is there anything that this enemy controller on the side of Christian Thomas can change here?
Taking control of the Sunseed Genus Loci would give you a monster with 0 attack points, so
yes,
can't really be doing that when your opponent could just link up into anything and attack it. So what's the plan?
I think it was interesting to see that she decided to special summon the Snowdrop in defense position, because we could just take the Loci here and then there would only be a monster with 0 attack left on the side of the field of Jessica. But now we are able to perform a Link summon, and I do believe that is the Sunvine Healer we were anticipating. She will be able to gain life points from this here.
Can we have an Effect Veiler or a Ghost Mourner to stop this life-gaining madness right here on the side of Jessica Robinson? Christian is looking at this enemy controller, said he is not too happy about this. Does this resolve? Is there any way he can deal damage or gain life points equal or more? No, there's the handshake! Jessica Robinson is the European champion of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading Card Game in 2023!
Back-to-back Recon Sun Avalon champions, and what a deserved champion Jessica Robinson is. And as you can hear it in in the background. The crowd is celebrating their new European champion. Jessica Robinson is going to represent Europe as the European champion at the World Championship in Tokyo in a couple of weeks. And I totally love it.
Oh, what a fantastic game. I'm sorry, guys, the Germans couldn't bring it home this weekend.
Honestly, with Jessica being the champion, I will take it.
Yeah, I'm absolutely fine as well. She really deserved it. What a fantastic performance. Top 4 at the own nationals and basically tops at every European YCS before that. Always with Rika. This is really her deck. And considering that Rika might be a really good pick for the World Championships.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Oh,
absolutely.
Yeah. She mentioned it in her interview as well. She said, you know, if I go to the World Championships now, I can take my Rika deck basically untouched.
Yeah, every other deck basically is somewhat hit, and she will be able, and I mean, she has to play Rika at the World Championship, right? There's no way she brings something else. That would be so unfunny, because she's just the Rika queen, and I cannot wait for all of that. But that is definitely now the finals. We have crowned a new European champion, but shall we just look at all the people that we are going to send to the World Championship? Because we have a very, very, very cool graphic of all the people. As we just saw, the main event concluded. We have sent 4 players, the top 4 of the tournament, to the World Championship. And it will be Oliver Newton from the UK, joined by Juhu, which lost the top 4 matches. But also, of course, our 2 finalists.
Jessica and Christian.
Yes, and of course we have the matches of the World Qualifying Points. You have seen them all in their full length and beauty. We have Dinka Bui, Jonas Koschel and Gabriel Susi, who are going to represent Europe at the World Championships in Tokyo as well. And I can't think of players who deserve it more. Dinka Bui especially, I think, is one of the best players we have in Yu-Gi-Oh! In the entire world right now. He's a fantastic player. Jonas Koschel has proven himself over and over again. This man is just going into tournaments with decks that he just picked up the day before, and he just qualifies for Worlds.
Absolutely, but speaking of the best players, there is one best player in Europe right now, and it's Jessica Robinson. So it's time to give her a trophy of being the European champion.